Welcome back to our channel. Today we're sharing the wild and honestly a little crazy story of our recent trip up to Oregon. And trust us, it was a roller coaster of poor planning, roadside disasters, and surprises we never saw coming. If you love RV adventures and learning from mishaps, you're in the right place. So a few years ago, we lost a skin that's a compartment cover on I-15 between Utah and Arizona. It was such a nightmare that we swore off interstates altogether. We even made videos about that ordeal, and I'll link them in the description if you want to check them out. But on this trip, I thought, hey, maybe 150 miles on I-40 to Oregon will be okay. Spoiler, it was not. That little stretch just reaffirmed why we avoid interstates whenever we can. No matter what routing software you use, and we use Google Maps and RV Trip Wizard, they always suggest the most direct route, which would be I-40 west to I-5, then north into Oregon. But not fans of those interstates, I reached out to a Facebook RV group for alternate ideas. One suggestion was to head to Barstow on I-40, then take 395 north through California's Sierra back roads all the way to Shasta, and then on to I-5. I love that idea. Scenic mountain drives, friends in Bridgeport, and a little adventure. What could go wrong, right? But I should have done my homework better. Turns out the highway to Barstow was in the worst condition we've ever seen. Truck ruts and previous wreck damage, huge potholes. It was a nightmare. I mean, severe damage. Our RV was rattling and bouncing like crazy. Does it count that this was the first time ever that a new roll of toilet paper completely unwound itself onto the floor? Twice.
The problems actually started before we even left. Usually I check the tires and start the engine. They're all good. But on Sunday of the Memorial Day weekend, our coach just wouldn't start. Turns out that we just needed new starting batteries, but the removal of those batteries was beyond what I could handle myself. We planned to leave on Wednesday morning, but because of the holiday on Monday, it was Tuesday before we could find any help. In between that time, I noticed a bulge in one of our tires. I called Benny's roadside service in Havasu, and they responded immediately. They replaced the tire, checked the other tires, that was all good. While this was all happening, I contacted Interstate Batteries in Lake Havasu and told them that we would be coming in early on Wednesday morning. Turns out they couldn't remove their own batteries either. So at their suggestion, I called the Blue Angels mobile service, and it took them about 2 hours to show up. But when they got there, they had those batteries out in minutes. Finally, we hit the road in the afternoon, and it was hot, over 105 degrees. And of course, we were headed straight into the sun. The road, horrible. California and Arizona's truck damage I-40 surface was so bad we had to slow down, brake, hope for the best. It was nerve-wracking, and with all the heavy traffic and rough road, it just made everything worse. About halfway through that trip to Barstow, I started hearing air coming into the coach. It was entering from the top windshield corners. They had popped out of the frame. That's when the real fun began. Finally, in Barstow, we discovered a cabinet over the passenger seat had also detached from the wall and the ceiling. Using a 1-ton jack, and we jury-rigged it back into place and made sure it was secure. For the windshield gaps, I sealed them with silicone and waterproof Gorilla Tape to prevent moisture from coming in if we encountered a rainstorm.
The next morning, we thought, finally, we're on our way to Oregon. We headed onto Highway 395, thinking we'd left the worst behind. But then, we got a flat tire on our boat trailer. Of course, those tires, too, had been checked before we left Havasu. Thanks to DA, we travel with all the tools you could need for such an emergency, so we swapped it out and got back on the road.
So we spent the night in Bridgeport with our friends. That was all very nice. And then headed north again into the Carson City, Reno area. I called around for trailer tires. No luck. Only one tire at a nearby tire shop. So at least we would have a spare. The next day in Susanville, I looked at the tires and we finally scored 3 new tires at a Les Schwab shop. We also tried to get our windshield reseated. No local service could help, so we kept going north. That night we stayed in Canyonville, Oregon, another remote spot without any services for our windshield. Finally, in Florence, we contacted RV Glass Solutions in Eugene. They offered a free inspection and gave us a quote of about $11.50 to reseat the glass. Because of our $1,000 deductible, we had not filed an insurance claim. But the glass replacement suggested we do so just in case there was structural damage. We did so, but then quickly received an email from Progressive Insurance called a reservation of rights letter, saying that the damage was likely due to wear and tear and not covered by our policy.
We've scheduled the inspection for June 26th, and we'll update you in part 2. But the main lesson here, no matter how well you plan, things can and will go wrong.
Exactly. The key thing about it is to stay calm, adapt to the situation, and keep moving forward. We're still on our adventure. We just have a few more stories to tell. But we made a pact. No more interstates. Period. They are just too tore up. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this chaos-filled tale, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe for part 2, and even share your own trip mishaps in the comments. Remember, the road is unpredictable, but that's what makes it an adventure. Safe travels, and see you in the next video.